Sometimes you might feel as though your past clings to you, looming in every corner of your thoughts. You may remember events that left you feeling ashamed or moments you wish you could erase. It is so easy to replay the same experiences in your mind, imagining how different life could be if you had taken another path. Yet the deeper truth is that your present and future need not be locked in the shadows of those old memories. You have a vast capacity to evolve, to stand upright and free, to recognize that the place where the plants unfolded is not your current home. You are in a new moment each day, living fresh hours with new possibilities and endless potential. If you keep replaying your past, it is as though you are carrying old luggage that serves no purpose, but weighs you down and makes the journey difficult. When you finally allow yourself to release that weight, your entire being becomes lighter. You realize the freedom of stepping forward. You see that you have outgrown outdated perspectives and harmful habits. The power to let go resides in you. It is not only a mental exercise, but also an emotional, spiritual, and deeply transformative process that sets you on a path toward your greatest self. In life, certain events or relationships can leave an imprint on your heart. You may have experienced disappointments, heartbreak, or betrayal. There are times when you might sense the weight of guilt for some action taken long ago. Perhaps you made a poor decision that caused harm. Perhaps you lost an opportunity and then repeatedly chastised yourself for it. Maybe you have regrets so significant that they color how you see the world and how you see yourself. Yet, dwelling on them won't rectify anything. Dwelling doesn't undo the mistakes. Dwelling doesn't bring back lost opportunities. Instead, it creates a fog that obscures your potential to grow and learn from what happened. Moving forward begins with acknowledging that you cannot change the past. You can only change how you respond to it. When you make that distinction, it is as if you set down a massive burden and walk away, leaving behind the old environment of regret. The past sometimes feels inescapable because it was real, it happened, and its consequences shape part of who you are right now. However, if you remain focused on it, you risk missing the wonders that exist in the present. There is a reason why every new dawn feels so refreshing. It is a reminder of renewal, a signal that you can begin again. And you can begin again at any point. You do not need to wait for a dramatic life event or someone else's permission. You can grant yourself the liberty to say, that was then and this is now. With that simple shift, you free yourself to truly inhabit your current reality, to open your eyes to what is ahead of you instead of constantly looking back over your shoulder. Some people believe that looking back is necessary to avoid repeating mistakes. Reflection can indeed be helpful, but reflection is not the same as letting your entire life be defined by prior events. There is a powerful difference between learning from your past and being chained to it. To learn from your past, you glean lessons, you recognize patterns, you accept responsibility for your actions, you apply wisdom gained. Then you step forward, applying this new insight to your current decisions. Being chained, however, means you place your identity in the mistakes themselves, defining yourself by them, and letting those negative emotions pollute your sense of self-worth. When you do this, you essentially allow your life force to drain away into a memory that is no longer your reality. Understanding the difference helps you take control. You become the active agent who decides how much you dwell on old events and how deeply they influence your present. You grow to appreciate that your narrative extends beyond those initial chapters. Imagine you had a rough day back in high school or a project in college that went completely wrong, or maybe a job you lost. In the years since, you might have internalized the notion that you are incompetent or not worthy of success because of that one experience. That story took root in your mind. And each time you try something new, you hear the echoes of remember when you failed. That's who you are. Yet that is a very narrow interpretation of a single event. People change. Circumstances change. Today you stand at a different point in your life, possessing new information, fresh insights, and possibly greater resilience. Allowing that long ago event to define your self-perception is like restricting yourself to one frame of a movie reel, ignoring all the frames that come afterward, which can showcase the hero's triumph. You do not live in that single frame. That moment is done. The question to ask yourself is, are you willing to let that small part of the story overshadow the entire script? Change can feel intimidating. It can feel like stepping out into a swirling current when you are not sure where it leads. Yet staying stuck in place, repeating the same unhealthy thought patterns is also a form of discomfort. There is discomfort in staying small and living inside a story that no longer resonates. True growth emerges when you allow yourself to be propelled by the energy of transformation. It is in that willingness to say, I am ready for something new, that you discover how resilient you really are. Every change, every forward movement is proof that you are more than what once happened to you. You become your own evidence that you are capable of metamorphosis, This is the foundation of self-belief, the recognition that your past does not define you but can inform you, fueling your will to step forward. There will be moments when people in your life cling to that older version of you and may try to remind you of your shortcomings. They might not be ready or willing to see the newer person you have become. Perhaps they hold on to grudges or stereotypes. Perhaps they witnessed who you were at a low point. Remember, you do not have to adopt their view of you. This can be a test of your resolve. You can maintain your stance. You are no longer that person. You are evolving day by day, moment by moment. The opinions of others need not trap you. They do not have the power to decide your identity, unless you allow them to. You can remain open and kind, acknowledging that people grow at different paces, but remember that you have the ultimate say in your story. Nobody else can claim that power unless you relinquish it. Forgiveness is another vital piece of releasing the past. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You might continue punishing yourself internally, replaying the same regrets, chastising the decisions you once made, or feeling shame for the pain you caused. But punishing yourself repeatedly serves no good purpose. It keeps you locked in the same emotional cage. Forgiveness does not mean excusing or justifying harmful behavior. It simply recognizes that you are acknowledging the harm and choosing not to carry that regret forever. Forgiveness is like opening a door to fresh air. It allows the wound to begin healing. When you forgive yourself, you open the path for true growth. And you can then begin to extend genuine kindness toward others. It also includes the possibility of forgiving those who wronged you, not to give them a pass for their harmful actions, but to free yourself from the corrosive bitterness that can restrict your heart from growing. Forgiveness is an essential component of not dwelling in the past. Another aspect is how you speak to yourself. Your internal dialogue often shapes whether you cling to the past or greet the future with open arms. If your inner voice repeatedly calls you unworthy, incompetent, or overshadowed by previous failures, you start to believe it. You unconsciously sabotage new opportunities because deep down you believe that old narrative. The moment you change that voice, things begin to shift. You may say to yourself, I acknowledge what happened. I recognize the lessons, and I now choose a new perspective. I choose to believe I am capable, I am resilient, I am deserving of new chances. Words matter. Even if only in your own mind, they carve the mental path you walk. So each day, consider the words you are using when you talk to yourself. Are they negative echoes from a painful period, or are they constructive, life-giving words? This seemingly small shift in self-talk can have a monumental effect on how you approach each day. Picturing your future in a better light is a potent motivator for leaving the past behind. If you have no vision for where you want to go, you might wander back to what is familiar, even if that familiarity is negativity. Take time to imagine who you want to become. No matter how big or modest the vision might be, just allow yourself to see it clearly. A healthier, happier version of yourself, doing things that energize you, pursuing personal and professional goals, or finding a sense of meaning in your relationships. Let that vision excite you. Let it pull you forward. The stronger that future vision, the less power your past will have to hold you back. You can write down your aspirations. You can speak them aloud. You can remind yourself daily of what you are building. This process helps anchor you in the present moment and the possibilities that exist moving forward. Consider how many individuals throughout history have risen from adversity. They did not let a painful background, a traumatic event, or repeated failures deter them from forging a new path. What sets these people apart is not necessarily their intelligence or privilege. Often it is their willingness to break from the shackles of old stories. They made a conscious decision that the past was not going to define how they contributed to the world. They refused to remain in that old environment. They recognized that life is dynamic, not static, and each sunrise brings the gift of choice. You too have that gift of choice, even if it feels small at first. Each day you get to decide, am I reliving yesterday or am I stepping into today? This process does not always look like a tidy transformation. Sometimes it is messy and requires daily reminders. Sometimes you will slip up and old habits or emotions will flare. This does not mean you have failed. It simply means you are human and growth is a process. When those old thoughts pop up, see them for what they are, remnants of a former chapter. Then consciously redirect your focus to the present. Over time, you will develop the skill of catching yourself before going down a rabbit hole of regret. You will become more adept at choosing to occupy today instead of yesterday. This gradual mastery of your mindset will yield an incredible sense of self-empowerment. Part of this process might involve changing your environment, both physically and mentally. If you surround yourself with things or people who constantly remind you of what went wrong, Or if you dwell in spaces that hold only old memories, it can be more challenging to move on. Sometimes a fresh start in a different location or with a new supportive group can make a difference. Similarly, consuming different material, books, videos, audio can fill your mind with forward-focused thoughts instead of recycling old ones. The people you hang out with, the material you read, and the media you watch can influence how you see yourself. You can consider whether these influences are encouraging you to heal and grow or dragging you into negativity. Reshaping your surroundings and influences can accelerate the process of letting go. Patience is critical here. It is unrealistic to expect to awaken one morning and feel entirely freed from your past if it has been haunting you for years. Sometimes the emotional residue runs deep. Yet, each day that you commit to releasing old baggage and living in the present is a step in the right direction. You might need to practice techniques such as journaling, mindfulness, or speaking with a trusted friend, counselor, or mentor. You may need to find some structured support if past experiences were traumatic. There is courage in seeking out the resources that help you heal. The act of asking for help is itself a statement that you refuse to stay stuck in place. It shows a determination to move forward despite the challenges. Your past might include not only mistakes but also victories. You might cling to the memory of better times to the extent that your present looks dull in comparison. This can be another subtle trap, looking back at the good old days and feeling you will never experience such joy again. This too can limit you because it places the highlight of your life behind you, implying there is nothing new to anticipate. The past, whether painful or delightful, has value as a teacher or as a source of inspiration, but it should never be the place where you permanently reside. There is more to discover, more to learn, and more to achieve. Tying your identity to former successes can impede your willingness to take on new challenges, fearing that you might tarnish the memory of what you once were. But think of how much more exciting it is to believe that your best days are still ahead, that you can build upon your past achievements and create even more fulfilling chapters in your life story. At times, people relive the past because they feel it gives them a sense of control. The present might seem uncertain, and the past is something known and familiar. Even if it is painful, it is a predictable pain. The future, on the other hand, is a broad expanse of unknown possibilities. Leaning into those unknowns can feel uneasy, but it is also where wonder resides. It is where the chance to do something different, to refine yourself, or to surprise yourself with your own capability emerges. Embracing this unknown can bring a level of excitement and motivation that outweighs any comfort you find in clinging to what was. If you persistently yearn for a better life but remain glued to the past, you are like a person with one foot planted behind you and one foot stepping forward, unable to move in either direction with strength. To truly stride onward, you must lift that foot that rests in old times and place it firmly in the direction of now. Life is never a straightforward, linear progression of good decisions and events. Many of the world's most purposeful journeys are riddled with detours, mistakes, and heartbreak. Yet within that complexity lies the possibility for profound transformation. You do not have to be perfect to deserve a better tomorrow. Nobody is. You might be tempted to think that your mistakes disqualify you from happiness or success. That's not accurate. Mistakes are universal experiences. What differentiates those who transcend them from those who remain bound is the willingness to evolve. Each day is an invitation to do better, to think differently, to choose more wisely, and to believe in yourself with greater conviction. Consider self-compassion. If you have spent a significant part of your life beating yourself up for your past, try treating yourself with the same empathy you would offer a close friend who is struggling. Would you continually remind your friend of their shortcomings, or would you encourage them, remind them of their capabilities, and reassure them that they can grow? Most likely you would choose the latter because you care about them. You deserve the same compassion from yourself. When you catch yourself sliding back into self-condemnation, pause for a moment. Gently remind yourself that you are on a journey and that no one moment in time has the final say on your worth as a human being. This shift towards self-compassion helps loosen the grip of old regrets and fosters a calmer, kinder internal environment where change can flourish. It might also help to celebrate small wins. Sometimes focusing on the entire journey of leaving the past behind can feel overwhelming. But if you notice each small triumph, it becomes more manageable. Perhaps you go one full day without ruminating on a painful memory. Maybe you decide to respond differently to a trigger that usually sets off sadness or anger. Perhaps you catch yourself mid-thought, gently redirect, and realize that you have the power to do so. Each of these small victories deserves recognition. They serve as evidence that you are making progress, even when progress feels incremental. Over time, these modest steps accumulate into significant change. Imagine standing on a hilltop, gazing at a breathtaking valley below. The first time you climbed that hill, it seemed impossible, but you did it step by step. Letting go of the past is much the same. You take it bit by bit, breath by breath, thought by thought. One day you will look back and notice how far you have come. Perhaps the sadness or guilt that used to grip you has lessened. Perhaps you now wake up feeling a bit lighter. Perhaps new relationships are thriving, unencumbered by old resentment. That sense of achievement is remarkable, and it reinforces the belief that you can transcend even more obstacles. It shows that you truly are not living in that old place anymore. In many cases, reestablishing trust in yourself is key to leaving the past behind. If you have made mistakes or felt powerless, you might doubt your ability to make good decisions now. You might question whether you have the strength to avoid repeating old patterns. But trust can be rebuilt through consistent self-honesty and self-discipline. When you keep small promises to yourself, whether it is waking up at a certain time, completing a particular task, or speaking kindly to yourself, you accumulate trust. You see that you can rely on your own word. Over time, this steadiness becomes your new reality, and the past grows increasingly irrelevant. The more consistent you are in your new habits, the more your identity shifts to align with the person you are striving to be, rather than the person you once were. If you find yourself missing old days, perhaps relationships, times of innocence, or fleeting happiness, acknowledge that loss, but do not let it paralyze you. The love or joy you experience can be a foundation for creating even more love and joy in your present life. You do not have to lock it away as something gone forever. It can be an inspiration to open your heart again, to create new memories. The more you see that life is not static, the more you can accept that while the past held certain joys or certain sufferings, it was never meant to be permanent. Each experience, good or bad, can be integrated into a richer version of you, guiding you forward with wisdom rather than shackling you with regret. Sometimes letting go of the past involves untangling yourself from self-imposed labels. You might have labeled yourself as the one who can't commit, the one who always fails, or the one who's not good enough. But these are just narratives you have learned to repeat. They are not absolute truths. When you step back and look at your life, you can find moments that contradict those labels. Times you succeeded, times you did commit, times you were more than enough. Bringing those moments to the forefront of your mind helps dissolve the limiting labels you once used. You begin crafting a new internal identity built on your capabilities and your capacity to keep evolving. That shift in identity is a powerful catalyst for genuine transformation. In pursuing this journey, you may also have to address certain fears. Perhaps there is a fear that if you let go of old anger, you will lose the motivation that anger provides. Perhaps there is a fear that forgiving someone diminishes the seriousness of what they did. Or maybe there is a fear that you simply do not know who you are without that defining emotional baggage. All these fears are normal. We become accustomed to certain emotional states, even if they are negative. But letting go is not about minimizing experiences or losing your identity. It is about affirming your right to shape your path without the residue of those old weights. It is about giving yourself permission to be something more than the sum of yesteryear's events. When you open your eyes in the morning, consider taking a moment to remind yourself that you are a new creation. Each day you awaken, you are gifted with another opportunity to breathe, to act, to create, to learn, and to love. Where you were broken, you can be rebuilt stronger. Where you faltered, you can step again more deliberately. Where you once harbored bitterness, you can sow compassion. That is the promise of the present moment. Each day becomes a page in a book that is still being written. You can start that page fresh, or you can scroll on it the same words and thoughts from the day before. The choice is yours, and it is a profound choice. Of course, memories will sometimes resurface. Healing does not mean forgetting. Healing means that when those memories arise, they do not control you anymore. They do not send you spiraling into darkness. They become neutral, or even a source of gratitude for how far you have come. This emotional alchemy, turning pain into a stepping stone, testifies to your resilience. It reveals the depth of your character, that you have chosen to transcend rather than remain trapped. When you experience that inner shift, you realize that you have far more power over your story than you once believed. Action is often the best remedy for lingering regret. Sometimes the best way to heal from a lost opportunity is to create a new one. If you regretted never learning a skill or traveling to a certain place, you can still take steps toward that goal now. Rather than lament what you did not do before, transform that regret into a spark for action. That shift from complaint to creation is monumental. It changes the energy from victimhood empowerment. Even small initiatives like enrolling in an online course or planning a modest trip signal to your subconscious that you have the agency to write new chapters in your life. This is how you demonstrate to yourself that you are no longer living in that old place. If the ghosts of broken relationships haunt you, consider reaching out with a sincere apology or a genuine wish for healing if it feels appropriate. If that person has left your life or is unwilling to reconcile, remember that closure can still happen within you. Sometimes writing an unsent letter that expresses your remorse or your forgiveness can be cathartic. The key is taking tangible actions that signify to your mind and your heart that you are choosing to move on. When you face what you feared or what caused you shame, and you do so with courage and love, you diminish the hold it once had on you. Even if the other person does not respond, you have taken a bold step for yourself. To leave the past behind also entails nurturing your personal growth in the present. Maybe this means dedicating time to learn a new skill, focusing on your physical health, or working to improve your emotional well-being. Perhaps it involves adopting mindfulness practices or working on being more present with loved ones. Each of these actions fosters an environment that encourages forward movement. You are actively creating a life that does not revolve around what once was, but rather on who you are now and who you are becoming. You are filling your mental and emotional space with new habits, pursuits, and aspirations. In the midst of your daily busyness, take a moment to acknowledge the progress you have made. Even if that progress feels small, it is a testament to your evolving mindset. By recognizing these positive shifts, you reinforce them. You affirm to yourself that change is not only possible, but already happening. Some days might be more challenging than others. There may be days when the shadows of the past loom large, but the next day you can rise again, remembering that every breath you take is an affirmation of life continuing to unfold. Consider also the value you can bring to others once you release the burden of your own past. The energy you spent dwelling on regrets can be channeled into uplifting those around you. You might share your story in a way that inspires someone else who feels trapped. You can become an example of resilience, showing that transformation is real. When you turn your personal obstacles into a source of empathy and guidance, you magnify the meaning of your journey. You see that all your experiences, both painful and joyful, can become tools for connection and support. This transformation from a person dwelling in regret to someone offering hope is among the most profound ways to define your present identity. People often talk about staying in the now, and for good reason. The now is where your life actually happens. The past is a memory and the future is a vision. Both hold lessons and guidance, but living too much in either steals the richness of what is in front of you. The best vantage point from which to sculpt your future is a present mind unburdened by old ghosts. Being fully here means noticing the opportunities, connections, and wonders that surround you. It means connecting with others in a genuine way, not filtered through the lens of your old anxieties. The moment you ground yourself in what is real and immediate, the hold of the past loosens. If certain flashbacks or anxieties about the past are intense, it might indicate unresolved trauma or deeper emotional wounds. This is where professional assistance can be invaluable. Therapists, counselors, or support groups offer structured ways to process those experiences, allowing you to truly release the intensity of the past. This is not a sign of weakness, it is a bold admission that you want a healthier, more productive life. By investing in your mental health, you are investing in your future well-being. You are giving yourself the best chance to finally break free from that place where you no longer live. In day-to-day living, you can incorporate small rituals that symbolize letting go. Some people write down the memory or regret on a piece of paper and then safely destroy it. Others create artwork that captures how they felt and then transform it in some meaningful way. These symbolic acts can serve as tangible markers of your decision to move forward. They are physical representations of an internal shift. Every time you see the ashes of that note or the completed piece of art, you remember that you have made a conscious decision to no longer dwell in former times. An important component is acknowledging that you deserve a second chance, a third chance, or however many chances it takes to create aligned with your inner truth. Society may sometimes try to limit us to a single shot, but life is more generous than that. It continually offers do-overs, new chapters, new relationships, new adventures. Clinging to your old missteps blinds you to these gifts. The moment you open your eyes to the countless second chances surrounding you, you begin to see hope in your everyday life. You can meet new people, try new skills, and rebuild trust. Every day can be the start of something that once felt impossible. Faith in something greater than yourself, be it a spiritual belief or a simple faith in the goodness of life, can also ease the journey of releasing the past. It provides a sense that you are not carrying these burdens alone, that there is a supportive force or a compassionate universe guiding you. Even if you do not subscribe to a particular belief system, simply trusting that life can get better if you keep putting forth effort can be a potent motivator. Hope can keep you afloat when memories threaten to pull you under. It gives you a reason to keep going, a sense that tomorrow can be different from yesterday. As you move forward, also be mindful of your physical well-being. Emotional burdens often manifest in the body, leading to stress, tension, or fatigue. Engaging in exercise, balanced nutrition, and sufficient rest can ground you in the present and bolster your emotional resilience. Physical self-care pairs beautifully with mental self-care. A strong, healthy body can lend support to a determined and hopeful mind. Taking ownership of your health is another way of demonstrating you are living for today, not languishing in old regrets. When you catch yourself reminiscing, you can gently redirect your thoughts to what you are thankful for in the present. This might be as simple as your morning cup of tea, a beam of sunlight through the window, or the kindness of a friend. Gratitude anchors you in the here and now. It shifts your mindset from scarcity, lamenting what you did not have, or due to abundance, recognizing what blessings you do have. This does not erase past challenges, but it places them in perspective, reminding you that there is a larger, more uplifting picture in play. On difficult days, remember the broader view. You are not defined by a single event or even a handful of them. You are the culmination of everything you have ever learned, all the kindness you have shown, and all the strength you have gained from overcoming obstacles. You are dynamic, capable of transforming your perspective, and able to steer your life in new directions. When you accept the fullness of your humanity, flaws included, you become more forgiving of your own past self. That past version of you was doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. You are wiser now, more experienced, and better prepared to make informed choices. This is how life teaches us and nudges us to grow. Leaving the past behind does not mean it completely disappears from your memory. Rather, it means that those past events no longer possess the power to dictate your emotions, beliefs, and decisions in an overwhelming way. They become a softer echo, a distant chapter that you can open if you need to recall a lesson, but that no longer defines your primary narrative. You no longer dwell there. You have come home to the present where you belong. And in this home, you can furnish your future with the best pieces of wisdom, compassion, and courage you have cultivated along the way. If moments of self-doubt arise and you feel yourself slipping into old patterns of regret, pause and breathe. Remind yourself that every person who has ever succeeded has at some point faced doubt, and many have faced regret. They navigated through it by focusing on what they could do next, not on what they failed to do before. You can do the same. You can ask yourself, what is one small step I can take today that my past self might have been too afraid or too unaware to take? That single step, however slight, is a victory over inertia. A victory over letting your past weigh so heavily that it anchors you in place. Action, even a small one, is the antidote to stagnation. You will also want to celebrate your evolution publicly or privately, whichever suits your personality. Some people share their transformation story with friends and family, while others keep it more intimate. However you choose to acknowledge it, give yourself a moment to pause and say, I did it. I left that behind. This recognition solidifies your progress and makes it more tangible, reinforcing your new identity. It empowers you to tackle new challenges with greater faith in your ability to overcome. In time, you may look back at your old self with compassion and even gratitude, because that old self endured hardships that shaped your resilience. You may find a sense of tenderness toward the person you once were, realizing they were a stepping stone on this journey. You see now that every tear and misstep, every regret taught you about who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. That is a liberating perspective, one that allows you to hold your past gently without living in it. Leaving the past behind is not just an action, it is an ongoing attitude, a daily choice. It is the choice to be alive and engaged in what is happening now and what can happen next, rather than stuck in a script that no longer fits. By consistently making that choice, you mold your life in a way that reflects hope instead of regret, renewal instead of stagnation, and self-compassion instead of self-judgment. Life has a remarkable way of rewarding those who free themselves from old baggage. Doors open, relationships improve, or new ones blossom, creativity flourishes, and confidence begins to radiate. Opportunities that might have been invisible before suddenly appear because you are no longer shackled by limited thinking. You step into an energy that attracts new possibilities because your mindset is no longer dwelling in what cannot be changed. Indeed, some people may not understand your transformation at first, but in time, your unwavering commitment to your new path will speak for itself. So remember, you do not live in that old reality anymore. You are here in this moment, breathing and capable of making choices. You possess the power to rewrite your internal narrative. You do not have to identify as the person who was once broken or once failed. You can identify as someone who learned, someone who grew, someone who survived and is now thriving. There is a profound sense of liberation in acknowledging that you can write the ending, or rather the continuation of your story, in a way that resonates with your highest ideals. If you ever catch yourself drifting back into old thoughts, try to notice the triggers. Sometimes a song, a smell, or a place can resurrect old memories. Instead of running from them, let them in briefly, let them pass through, and then release them, repeating the affirmation that you have stepped forward. This mindful practice can help you approach your own feelings with kindness and remind you that while the memory may surface, you do not have to dwell in it. Over time, this becomes second nature, a gentle mental discipline that assures you remain anchored in the present. Leaving your past behind is a testament to your inner strength and your capacity for renewal. It is a declaration to yourself and to the world that you acknowledge the scars, but you will not be defined by them. Your present is alive with potential, and your future awaits your conscious creation. With every step you take away from the shackles of regret and toward the light of possibility, you reinforce that you are deserving of new starts. You demonstrate that the human spirit is remarkably resilient. You offer hope to anyone who witnesses your journey, reminding them that they too can free themselves from old burdens. Your life is a canvas awaiting your next brushstroke. If you continually paint the same scene from the past, you deny yourself the vibrancy of new colors and shapes that could emerge. By shifting your focus to what is possible rather than what once happened, you open yourself to an infinite spectrum of potential. This is not about denying the past or pretending it did not exist. It is about recognizing that you have outgrown those old circumstances. You have new insights, new resources, and renewed sense of self. It is about granting yourself the gift of moving on, of not relitigating old events, and of fostering a dynamic, forward-thinking life. When you do this, you experience a deep sense of aliveness. You begin to notice details in the present that once went overlooked. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the laughter shared with a friend, the gentle contentment of a quiet evening. Your senses reawaken. You appreciate the small wonders that make life rich. Gone is the mental haze that kept you anchored to regret, replaced by clarity and gratitude for every moment that arrives brand new. This heightened presence infuses you with an eagerness to create, to connect, and to explore. It compels you to approach challenges with a sense of possibility rather than dread. Ultimately, this journey of release is a profound act of self-love. By refusing to live in the past, you affirm your worth. You acknowledge that you deserve to be free from anchors that serve no constructive purpose anymore. You stand up for your potential to become more than the sum of your errors or even your triumphs from long ago. You plant your feet firmly in the realm of can, will, and am, instead of could have, should have, or was. You grant yourself the spaciousness to evolve without constantly dragging old baggage along for the ride. Your transformation will echo in every area of your life, your relationships, work, passions, and even your sense of peace. People will sense something different about you, even if they cannot pinpoint exactly what it is. They might see more joy in your eyes, more determination in your step. They might notice that you no longer react to triggers in the same way, that you have become someone who has chosen to transcend limitations. In many ways, your story becomes a beacon. If others see you've done it, they realize they can do it too. The ripple effect of your courage can spread wider than you might ever imagine. So take heart and let this moment be a turning point. Acknowledge your past, bless it for the lessons and experiences, but then release it. Each day you do, each day you stand here in the now, focusing on the ways you can grow, serve, love, and create. You are building a future that is not constrained by what was. You are granting yourself the permission to be wholly alive, to actualize your potential, and to be at peace with who you are becoming. There will be trials, there will be losses, but they will be part of the ongoing evolution, not permanent chains holding you back. Take a deep breath and feel the present moment coursing through you, vibrant and unclaimed by old narratives. This is where you live. This is where your life is unfolding. The past is a place you no longer reside. Thank it if you wish for having shaped your resilience and your clarity, but do not let it dictate your worth or your capacity for greatness. You stand on new ground now. Trust in your ability to move forward with grace. Trust that each step, each mindful decision is creating a more liberated version of you. Affirm that you deserve the life you are crafting today, not the one you left behind. And as you step forward, do so with the conviction that you are more than any single event or era. You are ever-changing, ever-evolving. And that is the essence of human potential, the capacity to learn from yesterday and walk courageously into tomorrow. Keep this in your heart as you press on. You do not live in those old memories anymore. Your address has changed to a place where new possibilities exist, a place where your spirit can thrive. And as you continue to move forward, letting each breath ground you in the now, You discover a world that feels more open, more inviting, more vibrant than you ever thought possible when you were caught in the loops of regret. This is your time. Your blank page, your moment to build a life story that resonates with your deepest values and your highest aspirations. You have the authority and the capacity to do it, and nothing in the past can stop you unless you allow it to. So take that determined step, release the hold of yesterday, and live fully in this new day, for it is where you truly belong.